What's up, everybody? We're going to be getting going here in just a few minutes. Gotta let some people roll in. I got to retweet this out. If you are watching on YouTube or Twitter, anywhere you're watching, make sure you head over to @Kellam or @Academy BitLab. Retweet this live stream. We're going to be letting you guys know what's going on in this market, what we should be watching for. What's up, what's up, what's up? We're about to get this going. Everybody drop a 1 in chat if you're ready. If you're watching on Twitter, hit that little heart button, hit that like button, retweet this, share this out with your friends and family. Let's get this going. We got some things to talk about. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. We got to talk about what's going on in the market because it's still chopping our asses sideways. Oh my God, is it ever going to end? It feels like it's just been, all the way. Let's measure this. How many days is this so far? This has been 206 days of this. Feels like the longest 206 days in history. Do you feel like that? Throw a 1 in chat if you agree that this feels like this is never going to end. But I'm here to tell you it is. We got the signals. We got all the things. But it all comes down to when those buys actually happen. It all comes down to when some of this uncertainty that we're seeing in the market softens a little bit or we become complacent in it. And we're seeing that money printing coming, giving that jolt to the back end of stuff. But we've seen it on the global liquidity charts that I've shared with you all over and over and time again here on BitLab Academy, that it's not an immediate thing. It is the setup for the thing. For instance, when you're putting gas in a car, that doesn't mean it's already on the road racing down the track. That is the setup before you go and hit that gas pedal and actually take off out of pit lane and head on to the track. So we got to be a little patient right now, because although this feels never ending, I'm going to show you some other signals that are lining up today because for those of you, I don't know if some of you tuned in early, we got that short that I did this morning, kind of breaking down some of those things. But the situation right now with the Bitcoin and crypto market couldn't have a stronger bullish base. And it's getting stronger, feels like every 15 minutes. So why is this not breaking to the upside? Let's go ahead and go through some of these live chats that we have real quick. Just want to shout out everybody that's in here. I'm not going to call out all the names. I'm reading through what you guys are saying. Man and Meta says, hope you're all safe in the crash and have some dry powder to compound. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to that. I don't know why this moves every time I do this, but it's okay. I can move it back. That's all good. Shout out to our girl, Nicole Ministator, getting a clean bill of health from a recent checkup that she had. Hope your dad's all right. And Chris Pfaff's in here. Big Tip Shark. How you doing? By the way, those packages are on the way. So let me know when you guys get them, because some of you guys are out of country. Some of you are different parts of the country. We got strikes going on right now. So I'd like to know when you guys get those giveaways. But we got some charts we got to look at. And we got to talk about what's going on, because I think people are getting more and more likely right now to start capitulating, making stupid moves. And that's not okay. Shout out to Falco gifting 5 memberships. By the way, we kicked it off yesterday. We're doing the membership streams throughout the week now. We had one on Tuesday, which was not streamed here for members. That was just in the Discord with some of our in-house BitLab team. I did one yesterday. I'm doing another one today. There's another one tomorrow. There's going to be one this weekend. So make sure, all of you that are members here on BitLab on the YouTube, you get access to those member streams. Of course, you don't have access to the Discord and the courses and all that, but you get access to the member streams. If you are in the Signals Lab and you've signed up through CoinW, right here, boom, that link is directly below the video in the description. Don't worry, stay tuned, because we got a lot of charts to go through, but we got to go through a couple things here. If you're tuned in here on on YouTube, Free Traders Group, click on this link right here. It will take you to this page right here. It'll take you to this Telegram group, access to Signals Lab, step 1, step 2, step 3. This is a link you need to sign up with. It has to be through this link right here. No other link. It doesn't matter if you're a CoinW member from any other link. You can create a secondary account. In fact, I've got about 7 different accounts. One of the exchanges I use, I have 7 accounts. This way I can help segment what I'm doing. But if you want access to the Signals Lab, sign up with this link, and then you deposit a minimum. This should say $100. I don't know why it says $1. It should be a minimum of $100, and then you'll get your UID. That information is in this image right here. Some people have trouble, and I say, how are you ever going to trade if you can't pay attention to 3 simple steps? Because remember, even when we're trading, I tell you all, we look for the setup, the confirmation, and the trigger. That's 3 things. So if you can't follow these 3 simple steps, you're going to have an issue. You're going to have issues with trading. And then, of course, you do /verify. You type it in right here, /verify space. And then you don't do those brackets or anything. You do it just like this right here, /verify, and then your UID, this shows you how to find that right there when you do sign up on CoinW. And then you're going to get in here. And when you are in, if you come here to the general chat, I already posted a message in here. We'll post the private unlisted link that will be to YouTube, but it's an unlisted link that then go out to the public. Only those of you that are BitLab members on YouTube, or Signal Lab members will have access to this. But we're dropping more and more alpha. The time is now. We've got to make sure that we stay as a community ahead of what's happening in these trends, because right now, and I talked about it a lot yesterday, there's a lot of people they feel like UpTober's canceled. It's day 3 right now. And I've said this before, we could have another 15% crash to the downside and rally massively into the end of the month and end up having a very bullish month. So I'm still leaning on the very, very, very heavy side of bullishness as it goes in through the end of this year. The question is going to be, what's happening right now geopolitically? What's happening right now, especially going into election season at we're in election season, that date at the beginning of November. And this is not even a discussion about that, but we have to consider that the certainties or uncertainties, or what one side will do versus another side in regard to regulation in crypto, is going to have a dramatic impact on what is likely possible looking forward into this bull run. predominantly, excuse me, predominantly with altcoins. We just saw the SEC appealing their case again with XRP. And everybody says, XRP, people that are in that XRP cult, it's just like, it's just getting bled off again from this recent high, 66 cents, down 25%, almost just shy of 25% at 50 cents. High likelihood this could go lower. There's not a lot of things that this is competing with that is separate from what is available in 300 other altcoins that are out there, in addition to the fact of other news that we're going to be covering today. But I'm very bullish on this market. If this is part of your portfolio, I'm not going to berate you on it. But if this is the dominant part of your portfolio, I would argue now it's probably unlikely that it is, because of how much it just keeps dropping while other things have been pushing over the last few months, over the last month, really. But we've got to look at the allocations and what's possible and what's going forward in this market, how we're positioning ourselves, because we are coming into that time where you're essentially running out of time to get yourself positioned to have gains in this market. And I'm not even talking about XRP alone. I'm talking about the entire market. I talked about a move yesterday in the BitLab live stream, but also in the member stream, about why I made a little bit of move out of stacks. And I love stacks. And this is where I was taking account of my portfolio. Okay, if I'm looking for gains in this cycle, I want to make sure that the balance of what I'm essentially having exposure to makes sense in terms of what my goals are for this bull market trend that is sure to explode at some point. Even if it's in January of next year, we will have a bull market explosion out of this range that we have just been nonstop beating our heads against the wall back and forth. And I've been talking to you guys about this. So we got 242 people in the room right now. Everybody hit that like button. Hit that like button right now. Show some love. Bookmark the post there on Twitter. In fact, I did find out one of the best ways you can actually support a Twitter post is if you bookmark it. It gives the most back-end points on the algorithm. But I'm just appreciative of you, any of you that are just watching. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm here to make sure that we can all do this together. So coming back over to the data that we got here, we got, as I said, about 250 people in the room. So let's get into it. Let's get started. We're seeing some movements on the price. Where were we at the other day? Remember, $2.32 trillion. We're down now to $2.08 trillion. This means that we've dropped $300 billion in market cap across the crypto ecosystem. Now, is that the end of the world? No. It's the end of the world if you longed at the top on leverage and you got liquidated. My goal here is to make sure you understand that this is a long-term gain. If you want to take the short-term plays, I'll help you do it. I'll help you do it in the right way. And I'll bring together a community and provide a community for you to make sure you have the tools, resources, and the knowledge base to do it. But the number one factor here is you cannot catch up in this market. Crypto Face, I look up to him. He's one of the best traders, not only in crypto, in the whole damn world in assets. Now, do I think I'm on par with him? Well, as a human being, I do. But I don't hand a candle to him as a trader in terms of my portfolio size. If I tried to play catch up to what he's been building for the last 10 years, I will likely do what's known as either kamikaze trading or doing other things within the ecosystem that will just absolutely leave me having less, not more. Oh, you already sent this? Yes, sir. Oh, here it is, everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4. I asked him to give me confirmation that he had sent them, and he finally walked these into my office. So it is confirmed. I know that he sent these the other day, but these are for all those giveaways that we did over the last 2 weeks. They are en route. So again, I want to know when you guys get them, because all the issues with shipping and the different unions across the nation going on strike. 20% chance, Kelly, the top is in. That's what Crypto Crank says. You said 20% the top is in. I don't think the top is in by any stretch of the imagination. I'll tell you why. And I'm going to finish up what I was just saying. Don't play catch up to somebody. If you see somebody that has a lot more money than you, or is way more entrenched in this ecosystem than you are, don't play catch up. You're only going to lose further because you trade differently trying to be more aggressive because you're going to catch up to this person that has more money. If somebody's, for instance, say CryptoFace is a good example, and I love CryptoFace. He's trading on 7x leverage, but you also see he's trading $10 million. Well, divide 10 million by 7, guy's trading, with 100 in the upper 100, almost $1 million. Actually, it's more than that. It's a 1.2 million or something like that. If you now you're seeing he's trading $10 million, and now you're trading, say you have $1,000 portfolio and you're trading $1,000 and you do 7x, you're like, man, that's only 7 G's. I'm going to 40x it. Now, of course, that's nowhere near that $10 million CryptoFace is trading, but now you've taken on exponential risk and you have no wiggle room that you're either going to get liquidated or once you finally get out, once it drops 3%, what's 3 times 7? That's 28%. You just lost $280 out of that $1,000. You're putting yourself in a position you can't live to fight another day. Christopher Inks in the house. Dude, Chris, why don't you hop in the stream, brother? Give me a thumbs up in chat, and I'll send you a link on Twitter. I'd love to talk markets with you a little bit today if you're down for it. It's a eCam link, so it's super. I'll just send it to you either way. If you want to hop in. If not, that's okay too, my man. Let me see. Where is my boy TX West Capital? One of my favorite people in the space. I just sent you the link. If you want to hop in, you're more than welcome to. I'll see you. I can bring you up if you want to pop in. If not, that's okay too. I am doing I'm kickstarting everybody. Still coughing. I'm kickstarting the Crypto Answered podcast that I have the longest running crypto podcast on Twitter. I started the day they launched. And I've had some of the biggest names in the ecosystem. That's one of the ways I got so connected with Scott Melker and Crypto Burb and TX West Capital and Jesse Olsen and Matthew Hyland and Kevin Svensson and Tech Dev. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's because I was hosting this very wonderful discourse around crypto. It's none of this bickering bullshit you hear on so many of the spaces with people just wanting to talk over. No, I ran it like a show. It was basically like a podcast radio show, and we rotated the thoughts and the ideas around the space to talk about what's going on and have real discourse. I mean, we were having 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 people in the room before Mario Nafal was on. I love Mario Nafal, but when I started building this YouTube page, it made it a little, basically I was sidetracked. Then of course, everything that happened with our business here at Hit Network, my focus was a little bit sideways, but we're going to kickstart that. I got Kevin Svensson coming on today. Matthew Hyland supposed to be coming on. Jesse Olsen. Maybe we'll have Christopher Inks on this evening as well, but he said he's going to pop in here in a second. But let's go ahead and look at these charts. We got some things we can talk about, but we got 467 people in the room. If anybody that's watching right now, I just want to call on you to participate in the content you're watching. All of you have trouble and frustration, I'm sure of it, even if you're complacent watching TV. Even me, I love football. I don't know if we're watching football or if football is the break between commercials. If you like this kind of content, I'm telling you, it really is meaningful to every content creator out here. If you like this, head over to my Twitter page, and you can see, I'll just show you right here. Make sure you follow me. This correct spelling. Kelloy, Kellam. And then come right here, hit this little button, boom, hit that repost, hit that like button. Those two things give so much support to the back end of this type of content. And that's how, I showed you the shipping labels. We send out gifts, we send out US dollar, USDT giveaways, do all that. And we basically select the people that are winners on these giveaways for those that come here and hit that retweet, hit that like button. We randomly draw a day and randomly draw a person. Now, if you want to join the free traders group, that comment is right down here. It's just below free traders group. Make sure it's the correct spelling with the blue check mark. This is where you join. And I see we got a guest in the wings, but I don't see his camera yet. So I'm going to wait for him. Is it just audio? It might just be audio. Let me throw to that screen. Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Hey, baby, how you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in so long on our shows, only on the spaces with Gary Cardone and crew.
Yeah.
How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm good. I'm trying to figure out why the video isn't working all of a sudden here. It was working just a minute ago. So
It's all good. It's all good. Try to see if you can select the video, and I'll come right back to you. I'm going to show them two news stories to preface. Oh, there we go. We're good.
well, there we
My
go. There it
guy,
is.
Christopher Inks, in the house. What's up, baby?
What's up, man? Yeah, it's good. I finally, I stay busy, real busy in the mornings, and I try to, I've been trying to catch you for a while, man. You know,
Sorry, I
we're
wasn't
kind of got
staring at you. I got a screen back there, and that it's so small. I was trying to see if I had a little a lower third for you. Everybody, this is Christopher Inks. He is the man. He's been in these markets longer than I think probably since before I learned how to ride a bike. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull up your Twitter really quick just to show them who the heck you are, because you are. How about you? What's going on? Hey, is October over? What the hell's going on? It's done,
man,
right?
you'd think so. By the way, everybody freaked out on the first day, right? Uptober, it's the entire month. And the fact is, we've been doing well. I mean, off August 5th, was the big scary. Everybody thought yen carry trade was over, and that was it. And I had mentioned at that point, I was like, listen, because that was overnight coming into Monday morning. And I said, listen, if that was the case, then when Monday morning opened up, stocks should have been hitting limit downs, going in. We didn't. Instead, we got the pop up there, the reversal higher. And, we've been up since then. We've been going up since then. So, yeah, you got to get a little bit of a pullback. I'm sorry if, people were thinking it was straight up October from, October 1st to go. But overall, I think we're really looking good. I think 49K was, as far as Bitcoin goes, was probably the low there. And, people have been betting against the rally for 2 years now. They've been betting against the upside, and that gets really dangerous. When the market continues to, continues pushing up higher and higher.
I'm doing live production on the fly, getting your name on here so people can see it. There we go. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And you know what? It's like every one of you that's tuned in right now, you've all heard it. And yet I did a post the other day. I said, October's over. It's a scam, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, it's funny how quick emotions, right? I mean, this was on October 1st. And I was saying this yesterday. We could see the prices still fall another 50. We could drop down to, I would say, and I would argue keeping above $52,000 the previous low. Let's say we drop down to 56, 55, really scare some people. Actually finally start to clear some of this still astronomically high open interest. We could drop, that would be a pretty substantial drop from that top of 65. And yet we could still close the month at a 20% gain. This market, when it moves, I'm going to pull up a chart here real quick. This is why I think this is important. And I know you'll agree with this because you know how this damn market works. Where the hell here it is, right here. It is this chart right here. This is what we're dealing with, everybody. People are seeing this zone right here, and they say we're a market cycle top. Well, this is akin to the same thing that happened right in here before this move. Same thing that happened right here before, you can see these little consolidations, then explosions, consolidation, explosion, consolidation. And everybody says, but this time is different because we broke past previous all-time high. Well, we also had a huge amount of money printing that the market had not really accounted for. So part of that, I think, is shown here. But in addition to that, we also had this super hype train come in with the ETF. And it's like, oh, it's not just up, and away. We're going to chop the shit out of everybody that is not prepared, that's acting emotionally. I mean, we've had, six different, was it 1, 2, 3, 4. This was also pretty substantial. 5. Yeah. And now we're on the 6th pullback of some sort of substantial pullback since this market cycle top. I'm not worried whatsoever. Are you worried?
No, not at all. Not at all. For me, the volume and price action profile coming across from the all-time high still looks significantly like accumulation. We would have what we consider.
Dude, share your screen. Let's show what you're looking at.
All right, let me see if I can find it here. I don't know if I've ever done that with your thing here.
Yeah, I switched over to ETM. It's so much better. I like it so much better. No BS. And just make sure you share. He canceled. You got to join back up. It's okay. But everybody, TX West Capital, he's been trading the markets for long before Bitcoin was around. He's got such a wonderful viewpoint on just the nature of what's happening in markets. Let me go ahead and pull up his page just to show you. He's also a regular. He's tied in pretty tight with our boy Gary Cardone as well, and it's this right here. This is his page at TX West Capital. Great stuff. He's also was a regular guest on Crypto Answered back when I was doing that. Crypto Crank says, I'm not a perma bear. I'm a trader, also investor. But the last 2 years at cycle lows was the time to accumulate. We're up 5x from lows. AVAX from 10 to 52. Link from 5 to 23. Sold from 10 to 2. Yeah, you know what? We had quite a bit of move to the upside in this market. But what I would argue is if we come over here and we look into Bitcoin.com, free website, everybody. They've rebranded now. I think Bitcoin Magazine bought them out, but it's BitcoinMagazinePro.com or look into Bitcoin.com. Click here on charts, and you get all these free. They're delayed by a few days, so it's not the up to the minute accuracy. But you don't need that on on-chain data because you're looking at the macro picture. When you come over here, you look at the R HODL ratio, which is a 1 week to the 1 to 2 year. Basically, so you see right here, 1 week to 1 to 2 year bands of holders. Yes, this got a little bit high, but it got nowhere near where we saw in the last cycles. I'm not even going to consider this because I still feel like this was a truncated bull run because of the Chinese mining ban that really just evaporated new users coming in after that. The certainty was gone. And so we got this sort of lack of sellers that really allowed this price action to push back up before it sold off. But if you come over here and you look at like reserve risk, I mean, look at how low we are here. This is the asymmetric opportunity that we're seeing in this market at the moment is so incredibly strong that yes, prices have pushed up on some of these coins, so different parts of the market, but the signals in this market suggest that we're nowhere near. Now, something that has confused some people is if you look at the VDD, which is the value days destroyed, we had a huge spike here, but this huge spike is also relevant for a couple of reasons. We had a huge push up into previous all-time high before the halving. In addition to that, we had a huge amount of coins that were moved from Mt. Gox. Huge amount of coins that are moved from. So there's some things that are distorted in these charts that it's like, yeah, this is kind of similar to what we saw here. But look at where this happened. What happened after this $30,000? Went from $30,000 to 64, ultimately up to $69,000. So this was not the top of the market. This was saying, hey, some long-term investors that bought down here, back here, or way back here, these are old coins. The older the coin, the higher the spikes. The longer that the coin being old means a longer term a coin was held and then it's sold, that's a huge amount of value days destroyed. So if you have, 1,000 coins that are very old being sold, then you have a huge amount of value days destroyed. Think about Mt. Gox. How old were those coins? Think about some of these coins back here that were bought are way much lower, and the price is pushing past previous all-time high before having a little bit of de-risking. But this did not mark the top of the market. This marked, this was, look, $4,000 and it went up to $20,000. The signals that suggest where the market cycle top would be are not present. Should we be a little cautious? Absolutely. And the caution will be metered by, the caution that you need to feel right now needs to be metered by how exposed you are, as well as what your risk tolerance is. And then the last thing would be, what's your time horizon? If you were buying, looking for, the bull market top sometime in October, stick to your guns. Now, if we get into May, and we're starting to see huge signs of weakness in the charts, this is one of those things where you have to remember to take profits along the way. Don't hold out ultimately for the market cycle top in October 2025, when Kelly said it will likely be. And then the market cycle top happens 3 weeks early or a month early or even 2 months. What if we get a market cycle top in April? I'm going to be adaptable. I'm going to be adaptive to the new data that comes in, especially with everything going on geopolitically right now, in addition to the fact that we may have a new administration come January 20th. If that comes in, this will start obviously November 5th, November 6th, whenever we get the determination on what administration is going to be in power. But very quickly, we're going to start to see what shape that's going to take. And Scott Melker said something very profound yesterday that I don't think people really realize. Whether or not you agree with what Trump is doing in regards to him launching his DeFi platform, You think that if he becomes president, you think that he's going to push to have laws that support DeFi or regulate against it? Do you think he's going to support NFTs or regulate against it when he has all these NFT collections out? There's a lot on the docket right now in terms of what is possible based on what administration comes in, because we've got so many things going on. I'm not sure what happened with our boy. Let me send him a message real quick. All good? Maybe his computer died. All good? I'm just sending him a message. But we got a lot going on right now. In addition to that, I mean, looking at this, federal debt explodes. Federal debt explodes on the first day of the new fiscal year. Now, I'll be honest, when I get paid, I make some expenses paid out, but we're all wondering. Now, I want you to, there's two things that we have to catalog here, or categorize here. And I think Chris, I see him back in the green room there. I'm going to pull him up on stage here in a second. I know he'll agree with me on this. I'll actually just pull him up on this right now. All of us, hey, in markets, welcome back, by the way. It's been a long time.
I tell you, quick power surge thing happened.
But you know what? In markets, I was talking with TJ about this the other day. We have all this now on the morality of money printing. I think it's terrible. But as an investor, I'm like, motherfucker, dude, print. Go ahead. Yo, turn on the printer. Now, but I don't want that, because I know the majority of Americans, the majority of people the world over they feel like they don't have any money to invest. And I made this case yesterday. I argued, and I shared a graphic that showed if you're a millionaire in 1913 invested in gold, by today's standard, you'd have $92 million. If you invested as a millionaire and just save it in US dollars, that value that you had would be worth about $16,000. The only way you can get ahead in this world is to invest. Now, the argument is this. There's single mothers out there with 3 kids, maybe single fathers, 3, 4 kids. Somebody that's working 4 jobs. You can't barely keep a roof over your head. Well, at the end of the day, it's like, that's terrible. But we have to pick at some point. We have to pick where to cut so we can make allocations to something that's outside the US dollar, whether it's even if it's in the US dollar valuation, whether it's Vanguard or Bitcoin, which is this, the best opportunity. And when we see data like this, the debt's only going to go up. Money printing is inevitable. So rather than be mad at that, I'm okay. Let me position myself so I can ride that wave as it happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, people tend to spend so much time focused on the things they can't control. You have to focus on what you can control. You're not going to keep the government from spending. If it's a Republican, a Democrat, even if it's a libertarian, if they've ever got in there, I'm telling you, they're all going to continue to spend. We are a debt-based economy. Debt-based economies mean that we need to create more debt. And in order to do that, we need to also then print more money so we can pay off that debt with the cheaper dollars in the future. I mean, that's the game. We can't do austerity because that's going to hurt us, because we're in this cycle of what we need to do. So if we're doing anything different, it's going to make everything so much worse. So we're kind of stuck in this for the moment.
This is a position the government has put us in, especially, do you remember? I'm sure you do. Every one of you out there, if you are American, you remember this, and this happened to other parts of the world too. Stimulus checks. This is what happened. I'm going to play it on 2x speed. This was the stimulus checks. This is what the government did to us right here. Okay, here's your stimulus check. Okay, and okay, now everything is terrible. It's like that's the story of what's going on with our government, which is why I love these things like Bitcoin, which now have a media marketing machine from the 2 largest asset managers in history say, hey man, we got products on this. Everybody, you should check this out now. It's no longer an index for money laundering. This is incredible. And I mean, I don't know how anybody's bearish right here when we've been consolidating for 7 months between basically $50,000 and $70,000. And we just had this, and I try to make this point to people. Yes, we had the higher low, but it wasn't until we got this higher high, but we still need we need to see where the bulls defend. This is the start of a potential trend change. It's almost there. All the signs and signals. We just have $1.5 trillion printed in the last week and a half. I mean, it's inevitable. It feels like to me. Am I wrong for feeling like it's inevitable? Am I over positioned because I feel like it's inevitable?
No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, one of the things I've been talking about a lot lately, not just with my show and other shows that I've been on, is this idea that a lot of times, unfortunately, retail traders, we all come in the same way. When I started 30 years ago, I promise you, I did the same things y'all do when you're first starting out here. One of those things is that we think that we have to know what the market's going to do at all times. That we think we have to know anytime we open the chart that we need to know what's going to happen. We think that we have to be right. And the goal, that the trick in trading, the trick in investing is to be consistent, right? And now, not consistently losing, but to be consistent, right? Because you're never going to get 100, you're never going to get everything. The only thing that's guaranteed in trading is that you're going to lose money from time to time. And the newer you are, the more money you're going to lose and the more often you're going to lose it. So we don't trade based on possibilities, because anything's possible. We trade on probabilities. And what that means is sometimes we're still going to be wrong. I've been doing this 30 years. I still get it wrong enough. It's just part of it, which is why risk management becomes so damn important. That's why I love what you were doing at the beginning of the show, where you're saying, listen, stop trying to chase this person and chase that person and whatever, because you're going to end up doing way too much risk, right? You put yourself in a bad situation. But what we've got right here with that August 5th drop to that 49,000, that huge spike of volume, which previously, if you look at the range up to that point off the all-time high, you have very little volume coming through it. And then you have the breakdown there and you get snapped back up with that big volume. We go up, and then we had the pullback, I think it was September 5th, on a lot less volume, a higher low on a lot less volume. That's the kind of thing we look for. So in terms of Wyckoff, that big $49,000, the move down to 49,000 on August 5th is what we would look at as a spring. And then the pullback on September 5th, I believe it was, much, much less volume compared to that spring right there, and a higher low says that's a successful test of the spring. And then now we've made that higher high locally. Now, bearish market structure off the all-time high says the last actual lower high was around that 71,000 area. So we've, in terms of market structure, we'd have to break above that.
Talking about this region here or back over here?
No, where you were just at, right there. As far as market structure goes, that's the last lower high off that, because the last lower low is 49 and we haven't got a lower low since it. Right. So we have to, as far as market structure goes off an all-time high, we have to, just even one penny above that breaks that bearish market structure.
So what you're saying then is like a more of a, in this case, and I probably didn't clarify it the best way with my audience, we do have a higher high here on sort of the smaller time, mid time frame. But if we're actually looking at this range, what we're really needing to break, because of this low to this low, this is a high in between. This is what we actually need to actually take out.
Yeah. Now that's just the big off the all-time high, the bearish market structure off that. But what you said about you said coming off that 49,000 low, we've got a high, we got a low, we got a higher high now, potentially a lower low in progress, is the start of a potential trend heading up. And that's the way we have to look at it, because once we break above that 71,000 area there, depending on what chart you're looking at, this becomes bullish market structure off that 49,000. Because again, we have the high, the low, we've printed that higher high.
You know what? That would accomplish two things too. If this does bounce, and I mean, it's just interesting. I drew this median line about 3 months ago, and it's just acting. It's actually support right now. But if we are able to push up, if we take out this high, we would also accomplish then not only taking out that high, it's going to take some work to get up there, but we'd be taking out this descending resistance line as well. So we'd be accomplishing that, likely coming back to retest it. And then, I mean, I'm so excited and frustratedly impatient at the same time. And everybody in the chat, if you are excited, you are bullish, but you're feeling a little like, come on, throw one in chat, because we're all feeling it. I'm sure, Chris, I know as unbiased as you are, I'm sure it's like, you're a content creator also. It's like, hey man, this is so much more fun when everybody's excited, because they're like, yo, I just made 12% today. I just made 40%.
100%, man. And even though I've been doing this a lot, even though I know what to expect, and even though I know like, okay, this is what it is, it's still, like you said at the beginning, it's like, damn, can we just get out of this already? Okay, I've done my time. We've done this twice this cycle. We did this in 2023 where we were sideways for, what was that, 6 months or whatever. And here we are again. And by the way, this is, everybody's going to talk about, the new all-time high before the halving and everything. But so yeah, that's new this cycle. These two extended sideways moves are new this cycle. The double top coming off prior to the bear market, prior to that, 2022 bear market low, that was new. Every time up, had just been a move up and then a down, right? So we've got a lot of changes going on here. And I think one of the best ways to really kind of understand where we are at with Bitcoin. So I do that Beards and Bitcoin show every Wednesday. And I've got Andrew and Tillman on there. And Tillman says it the best. He says, listen, man, up until January of this year, what we've experienced with Bitcoin is all underground, right? So it's all in the dirt. It's all underneath.
We just started the actual first wave of early adopters for institutions. That's what people don't realize.
Yeah, exactly. And so now from January, when we got the Bitcoin ETFs, because of the exposure it allows, whether it's just because if they don't want to deal with the wallet thing themselves, or, depending on the institution itself, they need, they need to go through an ETF. It makes it easier for them to do the job that they have to do and abide by the rules they have to abide by and all these things, whatever it is. But when we did that January, at that point, Bitcoin is now above the ground. So it's a new stage of growth. It's different than what we had previously. And now we've got IBIT has been approved for options. Now, I don't know when it's going to actually launch, but holy crap, that's insane. For those that don't know, this is what you do. Because now with options, it allows you to arbitrage, it allows you to generate yield, and you don't have to sell your dang Bitcoin. Now, obviously, this is Bitcoin ETFs, but I do believe Bitcoin options are actually coming for spot Bitcoin at some point. I do believe that. And that's going to be just a million times better, even with that. So much, like you're sitting here, you're like excited. And I feel it because I feel that same thing too. We've got so much where Bitcoin is starting to become more like TradFi. I know people want to hate it, but at the end of the day, if you want to make money with Bitcoin, if you want Bitcoin to become the thing that you can hold on and you can just borrow against, you can lend against, you can create yield with options and stuff. I mean, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. And the best part about that, for those that are sucked into the, oh, we hate TradFi thing, oh my God, to be able to hold your Bitcoin while it continues to go up in value and never have to sell it, right? Because you can generate yield with options or whatever. And for some people, it's going to be something I have to learn, right? But the ability to do that is insane. I mean, it is absolutely insane. It's like people that get into real estate and you buy let's say a multifamily. Grant Cardone does this, right? He buys multifamily all the time. And then what you do is you go and you're taking out loans against it while the value of the property continues to grow. You can take the loans. You don't have to pay taxes on the loans. We do not pay taxes on loans here in the US, right? And then you've got now free cash here now that you can use to, hopefully, if you're smart, buy more of that thing, right? So in terms of Bitcoin, you can hold your Bitcoin, you can create yield, you can borrow against it, create yield, whatever you want to do with that. Generate some cash. We all hate that dirty fiat, but man, I'll tell you what, if I'm going to pay bills, I'm going to pay it with that.
It's the lubricant to the world that we live in. That's how you navigate it. So I'm not mad at cash. I'm just not storing value in cash.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
use your cash to pay your bills.
What do you make of this story that came out today? Quentin Francois, everybody's been sharing it, but Swift, recent experiments have proven our capacity to connect public and private blockchains, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, Swift just released an article how their global networks will allow transfers of digital assets and currencies. Obviously, I would assume that this would, whether they haven't mentioned it yet, but I know Chainlink is somewhat integrated with Swift already. What do you make of this? Because I know everybody talks about Bitcoin and Ethereum as, for lack of a better term, the blue chip coins within the ecosystem. I would argue that Chainlink, although it doesn't have an ETF yet, is so integrated across the ecosystem that it's unquestionably, to me, if not a blue chip, at least a light blue chip, because, and now we're seeing, things like, Swift. I can't imagine that Chainlink won't at some point have an ETF as well. What do you make of this? What does this mean for crypto going into the next few years?
So with me personally, I know a lot of people get out here and they're like, oh yeah, this project, that project. I've been very consistent over the years. it was my, anybody that's been following me for years know that I was talking about this cycle that we're in, actually getting the institutional adoption, the real talk about government CBDCs becoming possibilities, those things. Um, Generally speaking, I still don't give a whole lot of weight to alts in general. I still trade them more speculatively than anything else. Like I'll trade Bitcoin, I can trade that speculatively, but also I truly believe Bitcoin has a certain bit of value to it. Network effects. It was the first one in. It's what everybody thinks of. We can see that based on the flows into Ethereum ETFs versus the flows into Bitcoin ETFs, stuff like that. So, from that point, Bitcoin's the thing. Um, Alts in general, I tend to still kind of stay away from the fundamental. Oh, this thing's going to be great because it's going to overdo this. That being said, I've been pretty vocal this cycle about Link and about Solana. I'm the guy who got a lot of hate on the Windy O show when I said, "Hey, listen, Sol looks like a buy here around $9." I got so much hate mail off that. It was ridiculous. But what has it done since then? 200 plus is what it's been as a top. It's pulled back and whatever. Link, we were talking about the dip below the range to buy around $5. It was like a spring on that range we had there. Man, that thing rallied up, 4 times, $20, something like that. But as far as what's up there, I do like Link. I do like Sol right now. I like SUI and SEI. Is it
Sway
SEI?
and Say. Sui
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Say. Yeah.
I try not to say them. I want to butcher them, but yeah. So those are kind of the ones I really am watching right now. But my general approach to alts in general is it's still safer to view them as speculation, which doesn't mean you can't get in and get a good ride up, but it means just be wary of what you're getting into. I think that's especially in crypto, it's been one of those biggest things that really trips up a lot of retail traders. Back in 2017 when we were here, it was the ICOs. Everybody's like, oh, ICOs. And whoa, what happened after that, right? I do think the projects are getting a bit better now, but there's so much trash out there. Not that you can't make money with trash, folks. You can still make money with trash, especially if you're a trader.
I mean, I was listening to Gary and Scott Melker yesterday. They did a stream together on Gary's channel.
Yeah.
And, for all of you that are watching, and I think I think Chris is the same way, in that what I've kind of come to realize is nobody is an expert. The one that says that they're an expert usually isn't. And what I mean by that is I am hungry to listen to anybody that I respect and hear different ideas. Some of them conflict with my own. Then I adjust mine. Then I hear something else, and you shape it. It's kind of like the way a heat-seeking missile. It doesn't know where the target is. It just knows I'm looking for a very hot source, and it narrows it down to basically hit the target. And so I'm always scouring, trying to find more information. That's why I'm going to conferences. That's why I'm talking with Christopher Inks. That's why I'm talking with Gary Cardone and Scott Melker and Christopher, Adrian, Crypto Burb, because there's never a right answer, because this landscape changes on a daily basis. And so Solana, for instance, I'm bullish on in theory, but I'm very cautious of it because of some, and I'll admit some of it might be FUD that has I was already on the fence when I got into it, because it took me so long to get into it because of all the permeated FUD from FTX connections. Yeah. But then FUD just kept coming out about there's not a real clear estimation of what the actual token launch was and the supply, and is there other stuff locked up. But then now a big part of their volume and some of the metrics that you see is from meme coins. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with meme coins, but when I look at the landscape of regulation, even if, let's say, Trump wins and that administration goes in, I'm not certain that, because of the mass gambling speculative nature of meme coins in the US, that there's not going to be some, at minimum, even if we have this very crypto-friendly administration, I can't imagine that there's not going to be some sort of clampdown on the way the ease of access and flow of meme coins is, and how they're launched and pushed. And so, so if that's the case, does that dry up some of the interest in Solana? Does that cause a crash? Because that's a huge base on what's happening with the transaction volume on Solana. So you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, again, with me, I tend to stay out of the fundamental analysis a lot. what I found over my 30 years of perfecting, what I do with charts, which, I say the word perfecting, certainly not perfect. Again, you're going to lose along the way. That's why risk management is so important. But, when I'm looking at the chart, based on the chart, we've got further upside. We've got pretty good upside. Now, are you going to make like a 20x off it from here? Probably not. But it's like, again, what you said was exactly what it is. At the low there, the $9 FTX FUD, everything was so big. The FUD was so bad, which is why I got so much hate when I said, listen, based on the chart here, this looks like a pretty damn good place to buy. You can probably got a $15 target. You hit that, you got a $30 target, and that sets the move up. And obviously that's what happened. But that's usually what we look for, right? So we look for just generally in markets when we have a pullback, especially when it's taken a while, right? When we've been sideways and whatever for 6 months here, we look for that sentiment. We look for that really negative sentiment where it always seems like bad news and everything else. Because what has happened? We've already pulled back off the all-time high, and we've pulled back deep, quite a bit on that one, right? And now when it's toward those lows is when we start hearing all that chatter, all this really bad negativity stuff. And so most often that's going to define a bottom. And you usually get a rally up off that, right? It's when people are overly ecstatic at the tops that price pulls back, right? So when you're in a trend, price doesn't continue up when you get overly exuberant. Usually that's marking the top of the trend. When you get the pullback off the top of that trend and you've pulled back a bit, and all that FUD and all that really bad sentiment comes in and whatnot. Again, the fact that it's coming after it's already been pulling back for a while tells you, okay, well, likely this is going to be a bottom or a bottomish area, and we'll look for that move up next. So, when we're kind of looking at that, honestly, I like to see this stuff. Me personally, off the August 5th swing low, Bitcoin and most alts seem to be 3 waves up, overlapping, not really impulsive price action. And so that looks like we've got potentially a leading diagonal, which means we get a 5th wave up around our highs for these altcoins and Bitcoin and whatever, where we're at, wherever that high is, where we're at. And then we get, a little bit of a pullback, and then we go pop off, for Bitcoin through the all-time high, for some of these other alts through their local high. So, I mean, the structure off that, that 49,000 low for Bitcoin or that August 5th low for the altcoins and whatnot, it all looks like 3 overlapping ABC type waves, which is corrective. Which again, if we can just get one more push out higher now, that'll give us 5. That's a leading diagonal. And if you're not bullish now, wait for the pullback off that leading diagonal, get in there, and then just ride it up, because we'll be set to go. So that's what I kind of think's happening as we look at the charts itself, and we kind of get off what everybody thinks and what everybody's kind of feeling about fundamentals and whatnot. Because, again, for me personally, I found it's a lot more successful understanding social mood through what goes on in the charts, right? Because at the end of the day, your social mood is what drives asset prices up or down. And the quickest way we understand how people feel in general are the markets. They can put money in. If they're scared about the markets, they're going to pull that money right out of the market, right? Price goes down. If they're feeling pretty good, if they're not really worried about it, they're going to put money in that market, price goes up. And so, when I'm looking at it, the bigger picture, it's not just like, the chart for the chart's sake. The chart for me tells me how is social mood feeling versus how is social media, the little funnel they put you in social media, how is that feeling?
Well, you said it perfectly. I think we all forget it, because everybody that's watching right now, whether you're here on Twitter, by the way, if you're all watching on Twitter, make sure you hit that retweet button. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to my Twitter, make sure you hit that retweet button, because again, I just want to remind you all that you do. It's right here. It's on my page. Hit that retweet button. You do get entered to win. We give away USDT. We give away Arculus. We give away merch. We just like to support the people that are showing some love. But coming back to this chart, we got the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. I mean, it's the tale of certainty, as Kevin Svensson calls it. Everybody asks about the correlation. No, if things are uncertain, markets pull back generally. If things are certain, risk comes into the asset. Now everybody says, well, why didn't Bitcoin take off like S&P 500 did? Well, it's also its own asset class, right? It's also pushing up past previous all-time highs. It also has all this new money in that this is the first time coming into the zone that we're starting to see some old money, old Bitcoin taking some profits at previous all-time high, which historically happens on any asset when you have price back break past the previous all-time high. It's called de-risking. And then what do? We chop people out that are, I hate to say it, not worthy of higher prices or don't have the risk tolerance to handle the endurance of the emotions here. And that's why one of the things I love about you, Chris, is you talk so much about strategy. And the truth is, you're an emotional guy. I'm an emotional guy. I feel some of those same things when the market's crashing. It's like, okay, buy shit. And then a month later, I'm like, man, so somebody's like, how'd you buy? Because I was like, I knew I was scared of shit, man. Everybody was scared. And I'm looking, okay, all this conflict that's going on in the Middle East, is it going to resolve today? No. Is it going to resolve tomorrow? No. So I'm looking for one. And I talked about this yesterday. So everybody, please don't beat me up. It doesn't mean that you have lack of compassion. That's why I covered it for the first 5 or 8 minutes of the show yesterday. I'm so empathetically compassionate to all the innocent people on both sides of all the conflicts that are out there, because they're all fighting for the propaganda machine that shaped the narrative of why they believe in what they believe in. So I feel so bad that there's, at this day and age, with the knowledge that we have, that there are these types of conflicts. But on the other side of that, I'm a man that participates in markets. So my job when I'm looking at the market is to not think about compassion and say, okay, this is what's happening. How is it going to affect the certainty of risk coming in or out of the market? And so as it stands right now, I'm looking for 2 things. One, either that everything going on in the Middle East, we become complacent to it because it's what happened with Ukraine and Russia. That's still going on. The market's pumped like a mother since 2021, right? But now where we're at now with, everything going on in the Middle East, I feel for it. But if it starts just kind of be the same thing, the risk is coming back in. We have money printing. So last thing I'll ask you before we wrap this out. And again, hey, I know you weren't planning on popping on. I saw your name in there, and I thought I'd twist your arm and get you on here. We hadn't talked in a while. We have 2 different battles, and this is not a political question, but this is a idea of the market over the next 6 months question, because do you think that the administration is going to have an impact on on this bull run? And if so, is it more geared specifically focused on alts now that we have clarity on Bitcoin and Ethereum, or could it go either way in terms of what's happening with pressures in this market?
I honestly, no matter who gets in office, I don't think there's going to be just an all of a sudden strong push toward clarification with alts. I think it's a tough question, and that's why the move on them has been sporadic at best. There hasn't been this clean fuel continuation kind of push. It's here, and then it's a while later, and then it's here kind of thing. I do think Gensler is probably headed out regardless of who gets in there. And I think that's a great thing for us.
I think hallelujah to that.
I think markets in general, though, I think they've got, I think they're part of this continued upside here. I do think we've got further up. I said back here a couple of years back, I said it's likely we were going to see the Dow hit probably 50,000 before we got any like real significant recession or anything like that. Which takes the S&P up there probably, closer to, 8,000, 10,000, maybe something like that. And, the reality is if they're going up, I don't really like to look at correlations between, different markets. I look at all markets separately. But the reality of it is if they're going up, it's going to be based on, generally speaking, liquidity. Liquidity is the thing that drives overall asset values, just in general. And it's done it since the 1990s. And so, if they're going up, that means there's liquidity there. There's money coming in, which means there's little reason to believe that Bitcoin itself won't also continue up. And again, rising tide lifts all ships. Bitcoin's going up. Alts in general should also be kind of expected to follow up with it. So that's kind of my general way that I look at it, just off the liquidity and everything else kind of coming in there. So I don't know that actually that even if Kamala was to win, I'm not a big fan of that personally. But, even if she does, I still don't think it'll be like a complete crap show for crypto. at least not at first. I think, it probably, we get done with the cycle and it pulls back there because, oh, look, it was her. She did it. And, and then they kind of, we see more laws or whatever coming in and making it difficult. But I think at least from the beginning up there, I don't think it really is a big thing for either person to focus on.
So final question before I let you go, and then I'll wrap this out. Between now, the end of November, are we beyond all-time high at the end of November? And do we hit 100,000 by, I won't even say by the end of the year, let's say by the end of Q1?
Yeah, so I've been saying here lately that because, again, I believe we're going to have a rally up toward the all-time high, and then we'll get a pullback, and then we'll get the breakout for Bitcoin. So what I've been saying is the earliest I think we could even expect a breakout to a new all-time high would be the end of October, but I don't really expect that. I'm thinking more in terms of sometime in November. That'll give us potentially time to get that rally up, the pullback, and then the rally back up to actually break out. And so what that means is, those who are looking, to enter into Bitcoin, ever we've got time, most likely, potentially, if you're not going long here, rally up, a pullback, and then go long there. 100,000. Yeah, that was a little bit more difficult. I would say, you said end of Q1. I would say end of Q1 gives us a nice bit of room to potentially hit it. Sure, I could say that. But, at the end of the day, in either case, I'm really bad at timing. I like price levels on charts, and I just kind of deal with them and let them take whatever their time is to take to get there. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. I do think we get an all-time high, a new all-time high here, probably November. Could happen end of October. I think probably November. And then if we do, we should really see it kind of take off. We should see something similar to what we saw after the last 6 months sideways. Everybody's thinking, oh, it had to go down, and then it broke out. And everybody's like, oh, well, if it breaks out, it's going to come retest and then go. And I said, no, I think we'll probably just continue up, and we'll get reaccumulation as it continues to rise there, which is actually what we got. I think we'll probably see the same thing here because we've been going sideways for so damn long. So, that makes the idea of potentially 100,000 or so, maybe by the end of the year, but at least by the end of Q1, I think really much more likely.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, everything right now, and we talk about it every day because people want to see it. They want to know what's going on. Everything right now is noise. As Michael Saylor says, when you zoom out, Bitcoin's going up forever. So at the end of the day, we're zoomed in on this because we're all hyper vigilant because we know this is an opportunity, and we try to scrape up those 3, 4, 6, 8, 10% sort of bonus buys. And as objectively real reality, objectively, and the comment said earlier, we all sometimes fall into the trap of kamikaze trading and making emotional decisions. Just take a breath. Ask yourself, is this in the strategy, or am I acting because I think it's moving and I'm missing out, whether it's in downside or upside? But Chris, thank you for coming on. As you go away, I'll pull up your Twitter to make sure I can send some people over there.
I appreciate you, man. Hey, man, I love that you brought me up here. I love talking with you, man. We don't get to do it enough.
Yes, sir. Hey, God bless you and your family, and I'll chat with you soon, my man.
Take care, man.
All right, brother. Everybody, make sure you go and follow Christopher Inks right here at TX West Capital. You can also find him on OnlyFans. No, I'm just joking. It's Only Charts. Sorry about that. I just had to throw that in there. But yeah, make sure you give him a follow, and we're going to wrap this out for the stream. I just want to highlight, somebody was saying earlier, maybe we topped. Well, where is that chart? It is that I just had. I wanted to share with you, and that is, where the heck did it go? No, that's not it. 1 second. I lost it. I lost my chart. Right here. So this is a chart I wanted to share you right here. Oops. Right here. Boom. This is a short-term holder SOPR, spent output profit ratio. Basically, coins moved in profit or coins moved in loss. When this is very high, this tends to be, especially when it's up to this top dotted line, tends to be a small local tops. This got very high at the actual top that we've had on this range. But I want you to notice last summer, right in here, price action. Each time we dipped down below this, basically in the short-term holders and loss, price action rallied. And loss rallied. Now we had a pretty big dip here. And then once we finally got this, boom, one more dip, boom, rally to the top. Again, speculative pump into the approval of the ETFs. We had that little sell-off. Look at this. Perfect opportunity to buy. Boom. We had a very similar thing coming into the end of the summer, just like we're just seeing right in here. And now we're getting that last little bit. I do think, I would argue, and I could be wrong, that it's more likely than not, barring some massive catastrophe more than what we're seeing right now, that this is presenting an opportunity to buy. And we know this because we're also seeing largest outflows of Bitcoin from exchanges since November 22 right now. And that's on the 30-day, 50-day, and 100-day moving averages. And in addition to that, we're seeing the on-balance volume breaking out, which front ran this move. Just like little retest before that move to the upside. And then, of course, there's one more chart I wanted to show you, and we're going to wrap this out. This is Bitcoin's adoption curve. And look at this. We're sitting right on par with where we should be. There's nothing to worry about right now. Just make sure, everybody, I do want to shout out our channel sponsors, Arculus. Make sure you're protecting your crypto so you can make sure to protect your future. Head over to getarculus.com right now. Use code LAB10 for 10% off your Arculus right here. And again, if you want to participate in these giveaways that we do, make sure you're just retweeting these posts that I do, this live stream that we're dual streaming here on Twitter. Hit that retweet, hit that like button. Currently, we got 17 people that you're all entered to win. We're drawing tomorrow. So big love to each and every single one of you there. I see Chris is still in the house. I want to say thank you again for being here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and everybody have a wonderful day. Remember, we are at the forefront of the biggest explosion in history. Do not mess this up. This is the time. Adios, everybody.
That's right.